Hi, good morning, good evening, friends. I'm Kumkum Sharma from Brent, and I am back again on live virtual open session episode 29. And as I am committed with you guys since last 29 episode, and we'll be committed. So now we have reduced the frequency of the sessions. We have sessions twice in a month, second Friday and fourth Friday. So let me start this session. And as always, the agenda is driven by you, not by me. And you all can ask your questions. The only thing you have to do, just post your questions in the comment section. No matters you're watching from Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, just use the comment section, post your questions. I'll include your questions and Saket will answer your questions. So already we have few questions. Hi Saket, and thank you very much joining me again on this show. And let me know from where you want to start.
So we can start with the first question which you have received. I think we have 2-3 questions already. So we can start with there. Yeah. So you can show that particular question which you got it. Somehow I can't see it. Okay. Yeah. So thank you for keep watching our channel. That's a good thing. Okay, kindly cover the place of risk management in Agile. So that's the question which we are looking at. So in general, the Agile or iterative way of working is designed to take care of various risks organically. Let me see. Yeah, which means we want to ensure that so Agile way of working takes care of many risks on organic basis, which means without doing any explicit thing, the process is designed in a short feedback loop. So we do something, we complete the cycle, and we learn from it. And by doing those short feedback loop, we ensure that risks are automatically taken care. So that's the process itself is designed to mitigate the risk on a continuous basis. Now, having said that, we also need to take care of risk while we are planning our work. Now, there are two types of things or two types of planning we do. One is, you can say, a beyond one iteration planning. There could be things which are going to come in upcoming 3 months, 2 months time. And the another planning we do in a given iteration. So as many of you may understand, the Agile or Scrum way of working is a time boxed way of working. So we have a current time box, which is called sprint or iteration, and we have other things which are coming after that particular iteration. So if the risks are going to impact you in a current iteration, then you need to maintain that in your current focus area. So in the sprint planning meeting, you identify the risk which can derail your current iteration, current sprint. You need to make them visible in the form of some Kanban board or a separate board. And you need to discuss those risks on an ongoing basis in your daily Scrum. You may discover new risks which might put or might derail your current sprint. You need to discuss them on a regular basis. So your daily Scrum meeting is the another place where we keep discussing risk. And by doing it, we ensure that we achieve our sprint goals. So this is something like a short duration risk management, which we are doing in the Agile way of working. Now, what if there is something which can impact us maybe after 1 month or after 2 months? So the overall process of Agile is we work as per the prioritization. And the prioritization happens on our product backlog. So when we are prioritizing the product backlog, we need to see the upcoming business risk, upcoming technical risk. And based on that, we need to think about how do we mitigate, how do we take care of it, and the impact of those risk or mitigation or something we want to do proactively get reflected in our priorities of our product backlog. So when you are doing a backlog refinement or when you are collecting the feedbacks, when you are learning from the stakeholders in your iteration review meetings about what is working and what is not working, and they may point out something or you may discover during that particular conversation something, it goes into your product backlog consideration, maybe as an item to act on, or maybe as an input to prioritize the remaining product backlog item. So product backlog refinement is done based on the upcoming risk. Same in the retrospective also, you may discover some process related risk, some other issues, and those risks may also require some action, and that is again going into your product backlog and getting prioritized in the form of product backlog refinement. So the short-term risk, the continuous iteration, your daily Scrum focusing on that particular current iteration. little long-term risks which are beyond a current sprint with the help of prioritization of your product backlog. This product backlog prioritization considering risk sometimes is also called risk adjusted product backlog. So these are the two things we can consider for the risk space. Yeah. We can go for the second question if I see here. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we have one question talking about that I have completed PSM1, CSPO, and believe process discipline is your strength. I want to grow towards becoming an agile coach. What could be the certification and path forward? So I can say, as an individual, you are already committed to enhancing your learning. You have already learned the role of a scrum master. You have already learned the role of a product owner. Now the another important thing you need to explore is what role you are playing right now. Yeah, so say there is a one learning and there is another is a skill building. So if you want to grow as an agile coach, you need to focus on your knowledge acquisition as well as on your current skill building. What kind of a skills you are, opportunities you are getting to apply that knowledge into day-to-day work, because a lot of things we end up learning by way of applying those ideas. Now, from education point of view, you should be having your roadmap for skill building. Now, both for education as well as roadmap for skill building, you need to understand what is the kind of expectation from the agile coach. So you need to understand the role of an agile coach. And once you have that clarity, then you can come up with that, okay, what I should learn, what should I practice, and what kind of a current opportunities I have, which helps me in building those competencies which can help me in achieving that particular target role. So first suggestion, look at the profile of an agile coach. We have a blog which explains the multiple flavors of agile coach, which can help you in finding out where you suits more, like a process oriented coach, delivery oriented coach, multi-team level coach, enterprise coach. So there are various variants. Again, these are the patterns which we see in the industry. So you can learn about those patterns with the help of our blog. Once you have the clarity, then you make your roadmap for skills and certification. In general, as we keep repeating in our this session also, the way most of the people end up doing certified Scrum Master program, in order to learn what is expected from the Scrum Master, in a similar way, there is a basic certification program which is as good to get started with agile coaching space. Pretty popular the way CSM is popular for Scrum Master, which is called ICP ACC. It's an IC Agile program which talks about a coaching, Agile Coach program. So you can do that particular program to understand a little bit more about roles and responsibilities and competencies which are needed in the Agile coaching space. So that's the one thing you can do. Generic understanding of overall project space might also be needed. If you are a delivery oriented person, then you might also want to do a traditional project studies and understand the overall perspective of hybrid delivery. For that, you might want to do a PMP certification as well. So first, find out which type of profile you want to focus on in Agile Coach space. ICP ACC is definitely a kind of a default recommendation. You can do it. Beyond that, you need to find out the things which are related to scaled agile framework, things which are related to project management. All matters depending upon what kind of a context you are working on. Okay, so let's move to the thing. We have another question. I have completed ACP, PMP, PSM1 and has been working as a project cum Scrum Master. Now I'm planning to apply for Head of IT. Which certificates do you recommend? So see, in general, the role of certification is more focused on middle level management. When you go for senior management roles, it is more depending upon your leadership skills, references, and experiences. So those things starts making more and more sense. So for example, if someone is looking for a director position, they may not specify the person should be XX certified. But if someone is looking for a project manager position, or if the organization is looking for a scrum master position, they may specify that we need a CSM certified guy or we need a PMP certified guy. So the certifications usually play an important role for middle level management, not necessarily at a higher level management. That's my perception. And again, you can validate it by way of checking up the details. Now, still, you need to grow, you need to learn. Yeah, but how do I grow it? So you need to understand what kind of a skills and competencies might be needed. One of the skill and competency which is generically needed in today's world is ability to work with people and influence them. So you need to develop a lot of emotional intelligence and people management skills. That's something is needed. Now, is there a particular training program or a certification process which can help me in having some sort of clarity and smartness on my goal? The answer is yes. The ICF, the International Coach Federation, runs a particular program called ICF ACC, which is a like 6 months to 1 year kind of a duration program, which helps you in building your leadership oriented style based on coaching. So if you want to build that part of it, you might want to focus on that particular program. Similarly, you may also want to identify some of the areas which might be relevant in your space, yeah, because you are targeting head of IT. Maybe some technological related certification or knowledge might be also useful, maybe on a strategic perspective, not necessarily on the execution perspective. But I personally believe this certification will help you to get set to the path, but at the same time, you need to focus on the competency more. Yeah, competency and experiences and connection and references around those competencies can help you in getting to the future job profiles. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we move forward. How do we maintain time discipline in Scrum event? Yeah. So I would say maintaining meeting or running meeting is always a challenge. It is not only a Scrum event. You can say, how do I maintain a time discipline in my status meeting? How do I ensure a time discipline in my requirement gathering meeting? So anything you do where multiple people are involved, managing the time box, managing the meeting is a challenge. Yeah. And it was a challenge all the time. Many times meetings in many organizations really are pathetic, and many people really hate sitting in the meeting. So that's another kind of, and if you have been following and observing, you might have seen many organizations and many individuals who keep complaining about the type of meetings they end up attending during the day. So this is always a problem. Yeah. And no method by recommending it should finish in a 1 hour or 2 hour can solve it. That's not possible, because many times the people you are dealing with are might be more influential, more controlling than you. So what is I do as a leader, as a facilitator, as a project manager, whatever label you carry, or a scrum master, I need to focus on facilitation. So I need to focus on how do I solve this problem myself. I need to think of what are the reasons which makes these things derail, and how can we possibly control those reasons, or how can we possibly facilitate it for the interest of everyone. It is not for me alone, it's for the interest of all the participants, because everybody wants to attend the meeting which is productive. Everybody wants to finish the meeting on time so that they can do something else, because their day is also planned. So for the benefits of everyone, I need to facilitate it well. Yeah. And you need to find out how do you do that. There are some ideas, but again, I'm sharing some, but you can find out more. Things starting with a clear set of agenda. People should be knowing what are we doing, why are we doing, and how the whole meeting will run. So the clarity on why and what we produce in it and how we run this whole process is a good thing to start with. And it is just not a push from you, it is also developed with the mutual consensus. You may come up with a plan, but you share with all the participants and have an agreement on it before you run the meeting. So having an agreement on how do we run a meeting in the form of agenda, in the form of a ground rules, is a good starting point. Again, you also better bring some tools which facilitates identifying the great idea, but not for the right meeting, like a parking lots. So have an agreement of what kind of elements goes to parking lot, what happens to those elements, who takes care of follow-up of those items after the meeting. So identification of that particular rule is also a good thing. Afterwards, you need to think of how can I create the structure innovatively, like how can I make small group, they talk together and then they come to a bigger group. How can I bring where people think before they speak, maybe by way of writing sticky notes. Then I need to design the overall structure of it. When I do all this, I start facilitating meetings well. And facilitation skill is something which is needed in today's world to all leaders, be it a project managers or a scrum masters. And we do run a program called ICP ATF to increase some set of those skills. But again, you don't necessarily have to go through the program. You can research and you can start practicing it on your day-to-day basis and start improving it. But in case someone wants to have a formal understanding of it, you can also get little kickstart by using that particular program. Okay. Okay, so a lot of questions coming in. I go one by one. I think we need to be little speed up the whole process. How can we apply agility into operational team? Team involves in deploying and maintaining release and data centers. So the whole idea of agility is getting visibility of what we are doing, ensuring the flow is moving, and creating a collaboration for the things which are getting blocked. So if I'm working in a flow-based context, using ideas coming from Kanban is a great starting point. So I can say that we can have a quantification of our work, we can have a identification of our workflow, we can start visualizing it, we can start having collaboration around it, and we have a goal of the agility which ensures that we are reducing our service time, cycle time, lead time, or a SLA time. That's the goal. So I would recommend start with a goal that, okay, we want to improve our SLA time. We want to reduce the rework which is happening because of back and forth. We want to reduce the time it takes to resolve dependencies. So have some set of goals, and with the help of those goals, start designing your Kanban system, Kanban board, and the flow, and reflect on periodically how your Kanban system is helping you in achieving those goals. If it is not helping, try to tweak them by way of applying work in progress limits. Yeah. So Kanban way of working is a good idea to explore things where things are happening very dynamically and also in many cases happening little repetitively. Okay, so blog link on a LinkedIn we will share. I think Kumkum, if you can find out, it's just a Google search, Agile Coaching, 𝐻𝐸𝐿, you can find out that one. So we'll definitely share, else you can find
Sure,
out in the
I'll
link
find
as
it.
well. Yeah. Okay, I'm CSM and would like to know which certification should go. A-CSM or SAFe 5.0 will help me in upskilling myself. So I think similar question Kumkum was asking me, and I'm not sure if the asker is the same, but yeah, there was a same question. And the
Yeah,
idea
actually, Rinku is the same person. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so the whole idea here is, see, continuous investment in the education is always good. So you have done CSM, maybe you have every 1 year or 2 year reflection on what should I add to my knowledge so that I can understand and see what all opportunities are there to build my skills. Yeah, so that's always an investment one should consider. Now, if you feel that I am focusing on Scrum and continuously I am working as a Scrum Master, but I am finding difficult to apply my CSM ideas in totality, and I want to understand how do I practice and implement those ideas. So the idea of A-CSM is you do CSM and you try to apply that CSM in your organization, and you start struggling with that. You have some resolution, some things are still bothering you, and with all those experiences you want to go into the class so that you re-understand the Scrum and resolve some of the issues or challenges which you have been facing in your work. Yeah, so that's the whole focus of A-CSM program. If whatever I'm telling you sounds great for you, looks like an objective for you, you can go for A-CSM program. The Leading Safe program is a program to understand a framework named Scaled Agile Framework. If you see that I am getting into the things where multiple agile teams are expected to work together, I have never worked in a Scaled Agile Framework, but I want to understand so that in my interaction, in my interviews, I can demonstrate that I'm committed to know things which are happening in the industry, and I'm ready for large scale agile or a large size agile teams as well. Yeah. So if you want to position yourself there and you can say, I am doing good in my Scrum, yeah, probably that's something is done, but I want to target over a period of time working in a safe environment, then starting with a Leading Safe is a great idea. And maybe doing both is also a great idea, and we do see many people doing both. But as I explained, these are the objective. You improve your Scrum by improving your Scrum knowledge by way of doing A-CSM. You start getting into the space which helps you in implementing safe or implementing agile in a larger space, or someone is already implementing, you want to jump into it, you go for Leading Safe program. Okay. So we have a question that is the understanding of safe less prerequisite for Agile Coach. So as we discussed in our Agile Coach blog, Agile coaches are expected to know various frameworks. Yeah. So you are expected to know Agile, you are expected to know Scrum, you are expected to know Kanban, you are expected to know Safe, and few others framework. Now, exact list depend upon the type of organization you are targeting, because some organizations are using framework A or framework B. But at some level of understanding is needed. So some level of understanding is anyway needed. So that's what I can say here. I have a question based on my project. Can you please help me out? Please write it. Let's see if I can do something. So how do I facilitate effective retrospective meeting? I think we spoke about that. In a way, you can say that I need to think, how do I make people clear about the agenda of the meeting? How do I ensure that everybody remain focused on it? How do I ensure the people who are shy also speak? How do I ensure the people who may speak a lot get a limited airtime rather than they acquire all the airtime? So that's something we need to think. Now, after having these ideas, I might need to design the retrospective meeting by way of having an agenda, clarifying overall the objective of retrospective. You might want to take help from retrospective prime directive, which primarily reiterates that whatever we are doing here, we are doing to understand how can we do better and make our work life sustainably happy. That's the whole idea. Yeah. So it's not about finding faults in others. We believe whatever happened for the reason, and we could do best at that particular time, and we have applied our best knowledge, but we want to improve. That's the retrospective prime directory you start with. Then you focus on the overall understanding of the agenda. May introduce breakout rooms if you have a risk of someone hijacking the session more. May not introduce a breakout room if you have a small group. May focus on subjective data where you make people think about various things. You may give a structure to think, like creating a visual space for what went well and what could be done differently, or by way of collecting some objective data by way of looking at some of the parameters, matrices which might happen in the previous iteration, and based on that identify the areas which requires more brainstorming, then figure it out, do some kind of a analysis like root cause analysis. So you need to identify which tool I will use, how the whole flow will go. So you may insert a root cause analysis in between, and with the help of root cause analysis, you may identify a few areas. You may introduce a Pareto analysis to prioritize the area which we need to act upon, depending upon the context. And finally, facilitate the whole process of prioritization. What should we do next? So usually it starts with making people clear that this is a process of reflection, not complaints, not pinpointing issues in each other's, but it's a whole idea of moving things forward. Yeah, so that's something, some ideas. And again, reflect and joining ICP-ATF is a good idea. So what after CSM? Many things. Yeah, Scrum Alliance will say do A-CSM. Many people are doing leading safe. In majority of our observation, people do mature in our database. I'm not saying it's a universal thing because it's a very customized decision, but in majority of our client base, people do leading safe and PMP most of the time. uh, that's what they do after CSM. Some percentage of individuals who are improving and working in the Scrum space, and they are moving forward, then they are doing the A-CSM also. Yeah. Okay, we can say that Agile Project Manager, which certification is good to go for? PMP certification is good for, I think. Yeah, that's what you can do. If you have already done PMP certification, you can focus on leading safe. That's also a good program. Certified Agile Leadership is a generic program. It is not focusing on project management. It is just generic program which is about how the leaders is expected to behave in a context. Yeah. So I'm seeing some of the question from Goti. You can post your question here. We see if we have some skills to answer it. But this is the only place till the time we are live. We are still in this session for next 35 minutes. Try to elaborate it as much you can. Yeah, that's what we can help. Okay, how do we work on a support project with Scrum? Yeah, what should be the product backlog? Yeah, issues keep coming, and can change the scope of any sprint. So the question is, why do you want to work in Scrum? What's the advantage you see here? See, the way Scrum is positioned, Scrum is for complex system development, which means that inspect and adapt. You have an idea, you don't know will it really work. You want to take an isolated time, work on that idea, and come up with the result, show it to the world, and if they like it, you forward with that idea. If they don't like it, you change that idea. The whole process is designed that way, that you pick up something, you pick up the sprint, you isolate change during that sprint mostly, you work on it, you demonstrate it, and then you move forward. Now, if you're working in the place where work is keep coming, and you may not expect it to give a demonstration also, if you are working on a support project, you just need to resolve the issue. So I have a work coming in, I need to just work on it. Nobody cares you for your time boxes. And as soon as you finish it, nobody wants to come and look at the demo. They just want to say, okay, thank you. That's it. Yeah. So work get delivered and consumed then and there. So in those contexts, the framework which is designed for complex systems might not be appropriate. You need to see if you have a problem, and you want to solve that problem using Scrum. In most of our observation, what people end up doing, they create their own system. And that's the question which was also related before, where we were talking, how do we bring agility in the ongoing work? If I don't use an operational word, ongoing work. So many times people understand their whole flow, and based on that flow, they use agile and lean ideas, and they create their own system. Yeah, and which means they think of how do we bring the work on the team, what kind of a work we should do. Do we have a categorization of it? Should we limit work in progress? If yes, how many items should be limiting that particular work in progress? How do we prioritize? How do we ensure if something is blocked? And by learning all this, we create our system, and this will become our Kanban system. So it's not like you are using Kanban. Kanban is just an idea, collection of ideas, but you need to create your Kanban system by way of applying Kanban principles and practices. So that seems to be, from my view, that seems to be a good idea. But yeah, you can definitely explore if there is a way to do better way for your team, because you know better for your team. In case you want to learn Kanban more in order to understand this whole process, you can definitely watch some videos, you can read some books. We also run a program named Kanban Management Professional. It's a Kanban system design, and it's already, like earlier called KMP1 and KMP2. So you can probably try those programs as well. The first program is good enough to give you a foundational understanding. The second program gets into the details of matrices and other thing, which helps you in continuously improving your Kanban system. Yeah, so that's something you can explore. Okay, so the blog link is posted. Probably it needs to be posted in LinkedIn separately because it usually goes here. Okay, so for someone who has good experience in SAFe framework as a SAFe Scrum Master and PI planning, will leading SAFe certification adds value, or SPC can be a better to increase expertise in SAFe framework? So the way leading SAFe certification is designed, it is designed for new people to introduce scaled agile framework. That's its market segment, that you are new to SAFe, you want to generically understand SAFe, come to us and go forward. Yeah. Now, if someone is practicing as a Scrum Master and want to learn something advanced in a SAFe perspective, in the SAFe terminology, you, from a SAFe side, the recommendation is SAFe Advanced Scrum Master. Yeah, if you remain in your Scrum Master role, that's the one certificate one can go for. Yeah. Now, if someone wants to do an SPC certification, So SPC certification is a kind of business consultant certification. It's like you becoming a partner with Scaled Agile, because it has a renewal fee of around $900 every year, and you end up spending around $2,500 for getting the certification. So if you see that I want to get into consulting business, training business, and safe implementation business, then can you definitely go for SPC, but that's a different business line. It is no more, you are no more associated with delivery, or no, you are like target for that certification is not the guy who are associated with getting things done anymore. So my recommendation is that if you want to follow a safe flow, if you want to just remain in the Scrum Master space but want to go a little more, safe advanced Scrum Master is the recommended certification from Scaled Agile. Once you are done with that, you want to target the release train engineer profile. Then after some time, after practicing or supporting the release train engineer, you may want to do safe RT. These are the usage safe certification. But if you want to get into teaching and consulting space of safe, then you go for SPC. Now we don't we don't recommend people who are not clear about their consulting path going for SPC directly. If you want to do any of these, we can help you in assisting how can be these certification can be done. Yeah. Okay, the question is, can one go for product management after PMP? Yeah, definitely, there are people who are getting product management, business analysis. So there is a good amount of skills which are overlapping in a project management and product management, like working with stakeholders, taking care of a risk, working with the procurements, those things. But at the same time, there are some distinguished skills which are there in the product management. So you need to fill that gap. Yeah, that's something you need to focus on. Yeah. Now the product management space, which is there, you can say that that's something is available in our say. You need to learn that particular part. You need to come up with a plan. So there is a possibility of going for CSPO certification. There is a possibility of doing safe POPM if you are working in a safe space, or you can do some MBA program which can help you in learning product management, maybe a distance learning program related to a product management. Now, what is the product management space? Understanding the customer persona, understanding the market research, doing the need exploration, and coming up with right products and services which can take care of business needs. So that's something one can do for the product management. Now, like, do we have a PMP certified product managers? The answer is yes, because many times product get built with the help of series of projects, so these skills overlap. But there are cases where product may get built without using projects also, so product management can exist on its own as well. Yeah, so that's what I can say. So one question is that, in my interview, I have been asked, like, where do you store your project code? And I said GitHub, but I want a clear explanation of these things. So I see that's a good explanation you did. You are using your GitHub place to store your code. Now, what I feel is many times some of the Scrum Masters who are not familiar with the terminology of a development team may have a issues. How the integration happens, how the code get merged, how do you manage branches, how do you do configuration management. So some of these things may put some of the Scrum Masters off, especially the people who are getting into the Scrum Master profile and not coming from a development background. So yes, you do maintain into a place where it can be shared, and you have a configuration management system to take care, and GitHub is a good example to do that. But in case you are finding that I am getting struggling in these kind of a terminologies, then I recommend you may go for some mentoring program where you can learn about the technical terms and the aspects, not necessarily as an executor, but as a manager, as a person who can empathize with the development team, and that kind of education program might be useful. Yeah, that's something I'm just sensing. Your answer seems to be good to me. Now, if you see there is a need for doing it, we also run a mentoring program for Scrum Master, and we do have a place where we also support the Scrum Master to get through these technical vocabulary. So in case you want to explore, you can please try that out. Okay, how do we handle manage a situation when a team member takes the unplanned leave during the critical stage of the sprint and have a one-on-one discussion doesn't seems to work. Yeah, and things to keep in mind during the interview process. Yeah, if you get it. Okay. So in a simple word, let's take it as an interview question that you are a scrum master or a project manager, and you say, you have a guy who keeps taking unplanned leaves, and you have been telling him not to do so. You had few conversation with him. How do you move forward? Yeah, that's the question. Now, and it impacts your whole project and etc etc. So it's a little difficult because this is the only information given. So as usually I recommend, convert this situation into one of your experience. Yeah, you can say, okay, I had something like this. Let me explain my situation, and then we talk about how these things can be moved forward. Yeah. So you may bring one or two situation. Now, when you bring your situation, you have a flexibility. You can say the person was facing a personal problems in one case. In the another case, you can say the person was looking for a job. Yeah, that was pretty much clear from him, and we just wanted to get rid of him because he's looking for a job and not committed to the current work professionally. So you can bring that example, because when you bring that example, you have a history behind it. So if you bring an example where the person was going through challenges, you may took a time and can say that, okay, we probably can manage this work for this much time, but if it goes beyond it, we probably won't be able to support you. So you might have that. This is something I am sharing, which I have done with few individuals, where we can say, okay, I can take care of it for 1.5 months, but beyond that, I think then we need to look for different project. I can't continue with you in this particular project team if that things is continued. And during that time, we have a clarity of keeping that particular person little lightly loaded, because we understand this person can disappear at any point in time. Yeah. So that's a one possibility, and we have a working agreement how he takes care of the work when he disappears. Many time in my case, the person was willing to do during the weekends and catch up things, just to ensure that he is meeting the work goals and helping the team to move forward. Many time taking the leave as well as working and without taking a credit for that particular leave as well. So that could be a one particular situation one can share. The another particular situation is that you had that conversation and you probably sensed it, that person is not professionally committed, and having him in the team or not having him in the team is more or less the same thing. Then you took the decisions and get the person removed from your team after giving him a final warning, because you understand anyway this is better, we accept the fact that this person is not available, because anyway we don't see any professional improvement coming in this particular guy, because we understood the person was not satisfied with the current organization and wanted to move out. Yeah, so we better make our arrangement first rather than keep waiting for him to move out. We decided to not to work with him in the beginning based on what he has been doing. So there was a situation when I said that the person got corrected himself, and then he focused on working well, because we made a clear goal that if you work on like this, I'm not going to work with you in this particular project. Whatever happens to you happens. Yeah. So I think bringing some examples might be useful, else you may get into a trap. And because the interviewer might be assuming the situation going through a personal problem, and you might be answering based on the person is not committed to the work and looking for the another job. So that could create a big mess up. Okay, so interesting question. Do you think there is a still value in a project manager certification versus SAFe and Scrum certifications, considering somehow everyone gets exposed to HR, procurement, and contract? So in our experience, and based on what we see in the content, yeah, as of now, the PMP certification has the most comprehensive and mature content. Irrespective of the certification, it helps the people to work in the complex project environment, talking to the stakeholder, understanding various dimension of work, even if it is not a project work, is something get introduced with the help of PMP certification. Now, still many organizations even mention PMP certification in their requirement, but even they don't do that. Still, it's a useful thing. Now, SAFe is a great thing, provided you have an opportunity to work on it. Yeah, your organization is working using SAFe. because the safe implementation is an organizational initiative. If you do a PMP certification, you apply project management in each and every project you do. Yeah, if you are working in a project mode, even if you are using Scrum, Kanban, or XYZ, but if you are working in a project mode, means there is a client, there is an end date, there is a start date, there is a contract, there is a budgeting. If those project activities are happening, you can start applying project management as soon as you get skilled in it, not even waiting for the certification. So it helps, it matches with you the things which you are working on, in case you are working in a project space. Now, if you're working in a product organization, the organization is using Scrum, and you tend to work in that type of organizations only, where these contracting, budgeting, and all these things are not necessarily matter, and you don't have to show competency in those areas, then you may learn the domain and the area, the business which company operates in. Say, for example, if I'm working in the insurance space and my company is working in a Scrum mode, I better learn insurance, I better learn my organization business model, so I can facilitate, interact, and communicate far more in my current space. So that could be my learning goal, rather than learning project management, because I may not be doing projects, I might be just facilitating the product way of working. So it depends, but in general, in the service organization space, if your work involves project way of working, I believe doing PMP adds significant perspective of how to deal with things, as well as it adds a good weight to your profile. Yeah, that's something we have been observing, people who are doing PMP certification and doing career change after that, just not adding a PMP certification. Good number of our clients are getting good benefit in their profile movement. Okay, so looks like the questions which we got are done. So I just do a quick reset how it works. So if you have any idea, any question, and you believe I can add something to it, may not be the perfect answer, but I can give some pointers related to certification or Agile or Scrum way of working, please feel free to type your question and we will take them in the next available time. Yeah, we have around 20 minutes available to take care of it. Yeah. So see, the trend spotting, what possibly can come next, is a little guessing game. We don't know, and especially in the project management space. Yeah, we can say the trends in technology space are pretty much visible, but in a project management space, tracking trends may become little guessing work. But what possibly we can see many companies are investing in, like the organizations who are running certification and other things, I do see the agile education providers or bodies who are running agile certification programs as well. They are investing more and more into measurement space, matrices, improvements, assessments. So that's something happening there. Probably it becomes big, but yeah, assessment is something kicking. Yeah, that's what is happening in one area. The another area which we are saying is that the PMI space, where they are focusing on hybrid way of working with people. So that's something is also coming. There are a clear trend of virtual way of working with people. So focusing on tools to manage virtual work is becoming more and more prominent. Whatever project management tool you are using, how can you use them effectively to get the things done? So these are like a few things: hybrid assessments, and the trend which is a talk thing which is happening from last 2-3 years, but I think has not picked up that much, was about, again, business agility. The scaled agile also targeted on that, but I think it has also has a decent traction, may become a big trend at any point in time. So organization transformation and business agility, it is there, at least at a large scale level, may not be at a simple agile coach level, but yes, transformation and business agility is also something working. So depending upon which is your area of interest, you may want to try out something. Yeah. So I think the agile thinking process and the trend, I think we take we kind of shared that idea. Again, it's a guessing game, but I shared my idea already. So I move to the next. Uh, uh, So you can say the question is, so during a 1 month sprint or during a sprint duration and after a mid of a sprint, you can say, and you as a scrum master realize the team is lagging behind the sprint goal and may about to miss it, what should you do? You need to have a discussion with the team. So it is like not only in the mid sprint, every day. So see, anything can go wrong. Your sprint planning was done in the beginning, and especially if you have 1 month sprint, then definitely things can go wrong because you are planning for a 1 month duration. As your duration starts increasing, the probability of going things different than plan also starts increasing, and that's why you need to keep reflecting on it. And that's the reason the scrum recommends doing daily scrum. So we are expected to review how things are going on a daily scrum basis, and then based on that we need to find out how do we deal with it, yeah, on a daily basis, not necessarily on a mid sprint level only. Now what could be the solution? There could be a ways. What are the reasons of making things slow? There could be dependency, there could be technical issues, there could be infrastructural issues, there could be a skill issues, there could be wrong estimation, there could be many things. And based on those things we need to have a discussion with the team to find out how do we move forward. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Now the follow-up question is coming: can we ask people to invest more time, do overtime and work on weekend and all those things? So this is a leader's challenge, be it a project manager, be it a scrum master, be it anyone. You have a plan and it is not getting met. So in general it is discouraged because it can make team feel tired in a long term, and team may start looking for shortcuts and start committing less. Whatever happened bad, I can commit less because I don't want to do something which I get punished about. So putting the there was a traditional way of doing management. Whenever things goes wrong, manager will say you need to work on weekend to make it happen, assuming that just working on the weekend will solve it. But in many cases, you might have observed in your own experience that escalate the issue and bring a lot of other kind of dysfunctions. Yeah, that's a possibility. But at the same time, there could be a need of doing something beyond your working hours in some cases. But in majority of cases, as a good leader should create an environment so team proposes to do so rather than you tell that do this. Team comes up with an idea, looks like we have been missing it for multiple months, now not anymore, we need to get it done. And it's been a 2 month trend. I think we don't want to get into a situation where again we are looking odd. I think we need to do something about it. So as a leader, I need to facilitate the conversation which solves this problem rather than prescribe a solution of working overtime. We need to see holistically. And if it requires working overtime, the idea should come from the team. They are saying we will do it, and they find out how to do it. It's not necessarily working on a weekend. They may find out some better way of handling that thing. And many times we have figured it out. Not necessarily everybody coming. Sometimes half day work is good enough. So we give that flexibility and have an open conversation. Yeah. But if it is becoming frequent, then we have also seen a good people start leaving the organization, leaving the team. People start undercommitting. A lot of technical issues starts coming in, and over a period of time, we are into a big mess. Yeah, that's. But again, it depends upon the culture of organization. Also, there are organizations where 7 day working is normal. Yeah, so that's also a possibility. There are organizations I have heard of, whenever releases happen, they expect those people to stay in the office for 3 months. Like people just bring their bags and stay there for 3 months and only go home once the release gets over. But again, yeah, we don't want to give a generic recommendations like this, but in general, it is not sustainable, and we focus on how do we work. Yeah. Okay, great. So this is what we are focusing on. Good. So I think this is what we collected ideas for today. So our next session will happen in April now, I guess. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where we
8th of
would.
April, we have the next session.
Yeah, so that's something is a good place to connect. And many of you who are watching us on LinkedIn might be aware that we also have a YouTube channel, and we do post many videos on it. So following our YouTube channel is something can help you in remain connected with what we are doing on a regular basis. Recently, we posted some videos of PMP success stories, where people are sharing how they easily pass the PMP exam. That's something is happening all the time, but recently we got time to make a video of it. In general, every week we have few individuals who are passing the PMP exam with ease, but this time we got some time to make a video. So in case someone is working on PMP, wanna see, we also have a non-IT participant who got certified this particular week. So you may wanna check that out. Yeah, that's another thing. We do have many videos on Scaled Agile Framework 50 plus. So if you want to do anything in SAFe, yeah, you can definitely go for a structured program like Leading SAFe, SAFe Advanced Scrum Masters, and others. But you may also want to check our videos. Yeah, they help you in understanding SAFe. If you do it before your class, then it's a good, because you can make maximum use of your class during your online interaction with your instructor. So that's something also you can explore. And rest, yeah, there are a lot of videos on Scrum Master interview series, 70 plus videos if I'm not wrong. They can also help you in figuring out what possibly a Scrum Master might need to do in various scenarios of interviews. Yeah, so just wanted to introduce these things, and I think we are good to close then. Yeah, if all is good.
So before closing, Saket, as we have 9 minutes left, so I just would like to ask you on the OGuild space. So what we have new in OGuild space, and the another thing, I think 4 week back, I raised the concern. There are many people are asking for the customized workshop, like the user story workshop, or how to write the user story acceptance criteria, all these things. So do we have any customized upcoming programs on OGuild space?
So in a OGuild space, last week we did a one interview with Dipti, and she transitioned her career towards Scrum Master and Agile coaching space, and with the help of a break also. So that's something we posted on our YouTube channel, so you may want to check out. The another thing is on a workshop space, we have one thing which is coming up with the help of Zira. Like, there is a Zira particular program we are running, and I think it's around 2 weeks from now, if I'm not wrong. One can go to OGuild and see the detail about it. That's another program which we are doing. There are many mentoring programs running in the OGuild space, because there are mentors available and people can enroll to. And most of these mentoring programs are focusing on Scrum Master roles, where people are practicing their Scrum and learning how the Scrum Master should use framework as well as the tools. So, and also get some vocabulary in the technical space. And people are getting good value and good jobs based on what they are learning. Yeah, that's something we can say. And yeah, that's what I can say. And the question coming as an Agile project manager and SAFe, these two things are not related, not at all related. So project management is project management. It could be Agile or non-Agile, and that's what we learn in a PMP space. In a SAFe, it's not a project way of working. Yeah, so that's the question I'm dealing. SAFe does not recognize project. So SAFe is non-project way of working, like Scrum. So SAFe is an extension of Scrum, which is not project management. It's a framework to keep developing solutions. To get a little bit more, check our 7 essential videos on SAFe. Then you will know how it is different than project management. One can just watch 7 videos. If you go to our YouTube playlist of SAFe, that will help you in getting out. So OGuild space, the workshop on Zira is coming in, and the video of Dipti talking about her career journey is live, and customized mentoring programs are running, primarily on giving Scrum Master experience of how do they run Scrums. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Saket, for sharing all these things and this wonderful, insightful session, 1 hour session. So, any last minute thought would you like to share with our visitors?
I think this all is good. So we just want you to remain engaged on our YouTube channel. That's something you can do. And if you have any follow-up question, you can post it on the video which you are watching, or you can also post it on the LinkedIn where you are watching this particular thing. On LinkedIn also we have an interaction, so it's good if you follow the LinkedIn page, so that you keep getting the updates or things which we are doing. Many times those things can help you in finding out or selecting the right certification, and also knowing what kind of things are going on, especially from a certification space. So it's a good idea to follow that as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds really great. And guys, we'll be back again on next to next Friday, which is 8th of April, same time, 7 p.m. IST. And meanwhile, you can just post your questions and you can connect me over the LinkedIn. I'm quite available on LinkedIn, and I, discuss things also. So you can post your questions, and we have the sales at Eisenbridge as well, the email address. And you can post your queries over the email as well. So that's all from my side, and we'll be back on 8th of April. And just take care of yourself. We'll be back. Bye.